Good morning, and thank you for watching and tuning in to Ignite Your Wow. Today, we're going to learn from Sam Knott how to wow your young athlete. Hey there. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. I would like to thank our sponsors today, Blue Sky Video Productions. Bruce Himmelblau is my producer, and he could be your producer too. He will take your brand from unknown to inspiring, and he's a YouTube strategist that will help your numbers grow. And today, Bruce, what's your tip?
Hi. So my tip basically is never let a good opportunity go to waste. So if you're on any sort of program or any sort of messaging system, give them value, but also have a call to action, because people will not respond to you unless you kind of nudge them into the direction you want them to follow.
Thank you. That's awesome. And our next sponsor is Cards That Wow. If you want to stand out and above all your competition, make sure you send them a handmade branded note card from Cards That Wow, so that when they open the envelope, they'll actually say wow. So if you like what you're seeing today, please let me know. Make a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you happen to watch this on the replay, let me know. And today I'm so excited because Sam Knott is my guest, and I have been watching his videos for quite a while now. I was kind of stalking him. I didn't make any comments, but then I finally contacted him and said, "You have to be on my show, because what you have to give a young athlete, an aspiring athlete, is so valuable." So that's why I'm bringing him on the show today. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Sam Knott.
Kellen, thanks for having me on. Super excited to be on. It's infectious to be around you because you're always smiling and laughing. So thank you for having me on.
I'm so excited. And I could go 15 different directions with this interview. And, it's just, you take sports to a whole different level, because like I'm talking about the Stone Age when I was playing college ball and stuff like that. I didn't even know how to deal with my blocks in my mindset, or, the psychology of the sports. And to have that available to someone like my daughter is amazing. So do you want to talk about how you got started? Tell a little bit about yourself, and we'll go on from there.
Yeah, I'd love to. So Division I baseball player myself. It's a really funny thing. It was like my second to last weekend in college playing baseball. And I just had this overwhelming feeling like this can't be it. This can't be the end of my sports journey, right? When you play a sport, it's like your entire life. It consumes everything from your day-to-day schedule, your nutrition, your sleep. It's what you think about. It consumes you. So I had this overwhelming feeling like this can't be all. And I got a call from actually my childhood idol, and he said, "Hey, what are you doing after you graduate?" And I told him I really didn't have any plans, and he offered me to come coach baseball at a local sports facility. So I went there and I coached for about 5 years. And long story short, went from coaching baseball for 5 years to actually marketing for that same facility, starting my own digital marketing agency because we had so much success with that, building my own company from a marketing perspective. And, it's always been in my heart to work with athletes. And I've always been obsessed with the psychology side of things. That's actually what draws me to marketing, is the psychology of things.
Mm-hmm. It's very psychological.
And so from there, I started, venturing out, saying, "Hey, what can I do? How can I serve other athletes? How can I help other athletes?" And where I'm at now is I'm helping high-level athletes, high-level high school, collegiate, and professional athletes, Olympic-level athletes, with the mindset side of things. And for those of you that maybe aren't too familiar with working with somebody on the mindset side of things, just recently, so everyone knows the name Tony Robbins, right? Mm-hmm. And he's one of my heroes, one of my idols. In case you didn't know, Tom Brady, Gronkowski and Antonio Brown of the championship Tampa Bay Bucks all worked with Tony Robbins over this past year. So, it's something that athletes need. And in the past, like from your experience, wasn't really accepted as much as it is today. And it really wasn't explored as much as it is today.
Yeah, I don't even think it was available. I mean, all it was training. All I did was train like 6 hours a day, it felt like, and very little nutrition information at that time. I mean, it's a whole new ball game. I mean, I've had people talk to Emily about her nutrition. I've had people, I've had trainers, physical trainers and shooting trainers. And I think the most value she got was from that first call from you, because you make people think, you make people, with her, I wanted to make sure this was something she really had passion about, because she wasn't showing much passion. And it opened the floodgates, and, she's been working out every day, and, she's finally getting her video done for the coach. And I think that it's so important for them. It's like if you have a problem in your life, you go see a therapist. And if you're having a problem with your sport, you go see someone like you, because it saves a lot of time, and frustration, and possibly weight gain, and, getting out of condition. And I love that that's what you do. And I guess the question I had was, in the long way, is it when you were coaching that baseball team, did you kind of look at the kids and think, this kid could use this help? How did you get into the actual psychology of it?
Well, to be completely honest with you, as a high school student, I wasn't a very good high school student, but the only books I really remember reading in high school were sports psychology books.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So it started very young.
I actually started my college journey majoring in psychology. I eventually switched it to business. That's another story. But to answer your question, how did I specifically get into this? As a coach, I've coached I did the math on this, over 17,000 individual lessons with players, right? You recognize patterns when you do something 17,000 times.
Yeah.
You recognize patterns. And training baseball specifically, okay, I can teach you the swing, I can teach you the fundamentals, but in any sport, you can throw all of that stuff out the window if this thing isn't right.
Right.
You can throw all the technique, you can throw all the nutrition, all of the physical training, if your mind isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you stories of athletes that had just beautiful, perfect mechanics. If you're a baseball player, there's something beautiful about having, a really nice swing.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a beautiful swing, but I can tell you players that, in practice can hit home run, home run, home run, home run. And then the game comes and it's like, they're like a rock. They're like a stick. Like
right.
Tap them and they'll just crumble into, dust. So
tell me one of those stories. Tell me how.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a college freshman, you have this feeling of, okay, do I fit in? Where am I going to, see myself on the team? I need to prove myself. All of those feelings that come with being a college freshman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never forget one of the first practices that we had. There was a sophomore. He was a first baseman, and he was like 6'3", a left-handed hitter, and he was just built like 220, looked like a football player, honestly. And I saw him take batting practice for the first time. Swing 1, home run, swing 2, home run, swing 3. And my eyes are like this, like, oh my gosh, like this is the type of player I'm competing with on an everyday basis. And it's like, it blew my mind. And then, a couple of days later, we have like an inter squad or a scrimmage, and you actually see that practice get put into play. And it's like that same player that was mesmerizing, that blew my mind. You see him perform in a game, and it was like strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. And that just like opened your eyes to,
what the heck?
Yeah. This incredible practice player, what the heck happened to the game? Like, you should be killing it in a game. So that's actually an encouragement for young athletes, right?
Mm.
Just because somebody is looking awesome in practice or looking awesome in a game. See, here's what often happens in athletics, especially young athletics, right? This is basketball, this is baseball, this is football. When you get to the game, you're looking at the other team, right? While they warm up. You're looking to see, okay, you know, who's got the skills, who's got the size, who's got the speed. And you can make up all of these stories in your mind, like, oh man, oh crap, I got to guard that guy, I got to play against that girl, you know. And then you start creating these stories in your head, and you can beat yourself before the game even starts.
Mm-hmm.
But just because the other players performing in practice or a pregame, that doesn't give you an excuse to psych yourself out.
It's not even a disadvantage, is it? Because they're probably having the same thing.
It's like there's a really, I love this from Michael Jordan. He says, I got butterflies before every game, just like any other player. I just got all my butterflies going in the same direction.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
So you're gonna get nervous. You're gonna feel the nerves. You're gonna feel the anxiety, and you can label it whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw someone put on here, you know, the psychology of marketing and sales and sports psychology are all the same, right? But it's a matter of getting all of those nerves, all of those feelings that you have before a sales presentation, before you're talking to someone, getting them going all in the same direction.
Right. That's amazing. And a lot of mind over matter kind of, is that kind of what you're telling us here?
Certainly.
To a certain extent.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
Absolutely.
So what was your biggest challenge what is the biggest challenge in doing what you're doing?
In doing what I'm doing right now, specifically working with athletes one-on-one,
mm-hmm.
is to get rid of all of the disenabling beliefs that they have in the past.
Are you talking like back from childhood, like from the beginning? From
previous competitions, from childhood,
okay.
From I'll give you a perfect example, right? I'm working with a Taekwondo athlete who is qualifying for the Olympics in May. And one of his biggest obstacles is the fact that he has all of these rankings, right? When you're playing on whether it's a small scale and you're being compared to local players and you're being compared to players on your high school team or your college team, or you're on an international level where you're being compared to players around the entire world, right? There's always going to be comparison. Would you agree?
Yes.
There's always going to be comparison. But just because this ranking system puts so-and-so here and you here in the ranking system, that does not mean that you can't beat them.
Right.
That does not mean that they're the superior athlete and they're going to win every single time. And I know everyone loves the underdog story. Everyone loves, all of the inspiring stories of, the person that was never supposed to win or the team that was
right.
never supposed to win and then overcomes it, right? But what about all of those athletes that compare themselves? Maybe they're in the middle of the pack,
mm-hmm.
or maybe they're in the middle to top or middle to bottom, and they're comparing themselves to the elite athletes. And then they have this belief that, everyone sees them as the top dog, the alpha dog. I can't beat them. Or, they tell themselves that they're better than me, or I'm not at that level, or I don't deserve to be at that level. So that's one of the biggest obstacles or biggest challenges, as you asked, is getting them to move past that disenabling belief, get rid of it. Let's get rid of that disenabling belief and let's put in something more empowering. So a simple way to do that, and all of your viewers can do this, is what is one instance, what is one scenario that proves that to be false? All it takes is one negation. All it takes is one time. All it takes is, so and this was literally from a call I had yesterday. I said, so I said, has there been anyone to win the Olympics in Taekwondo that has been ranked where you're at or lower that has beat these guys up here? And he went, oh, well, yeah. And it's like, he had this aha moment where it's just like, yeah, these rankings are valuable to some people, but to me as an athlete, it doesn't serve me at all.
That's great advice. So this is my favorite question. So do you have to coach parents at all?
Do I?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I use the younger players, you have to definitely coach their parents.
Yeah.
Without question. One of my clients, one of my good friends, John Case, who works with just baseball players online, he said that's the biggest thing that he has to coach. And back when I was a coach, and I would say it's probably within that like before high school range, is really where you're coaching the parents.
Yeah.
Because you can label the parents whatever you want. The helicopter parents, you can label the parents that are really tough on their kids, but it's so critically important that the parents are in line with what the athlete actually wants.
Right.
There's a professional hockey player I was working with, and I hope some parent listening to this hears this and it helps them, and it helps their young son or their young daughter. There's a professional hockey player I'm dealing with. He's 19 years old. And during a competition, during a game, if he messes up, he would think about what his dad would say. And his dad, all the time when he was a child, from the time he started playing hockey, 5 years old to the time he was 16, 17, and he went out on his own to play. His dad programmed him to beat himself up when he messed up, to beat himself up because that was his way of figuring out what went wrong or what you need to improve. But he was coming from a place of love. He was coming from a place of sincerity. He wanted his son to do better. He wanted his son to improve. He wanted the best performance for his son, but he just went about it the wrong way. Which is probably the way his dad did it for him. Exactly.
Those things are usually not genetic, but they're passed on. And so I think that you either become exactly what your parents are or the polar opposite of what your parents are. So yeah, I can hear, like, I hear moms in the stands, and I coached a rec league basketball team for a couple of years too. And they were treating these 6 and 7-year-olds like they were trying out for the Olympics. Yes. I mean, you can barely reach the basket. I mean, the ball, I'll tell you a story.
Okay. If you have to whisper, that's okay.
Emily's she always gets mad at me. You missed my first basket. Because my friend Sarah was coaching with me. And she said I was talking to her and I missed the first basket. And I said, Emily, I didn't miss your first basket because you made it for the other team. So I think it's hilarious that her first basket was for the other team. I love that story.
But look at her now. You didn't beat her up, so she's still playing and she's going on to play collegiately. So yeah, I know. It was so hard. I'll tell you, as a mom, it's hard because the potential of your child, and But with me, there was something blocking her, and I couldn't figure it out. There was nothing any trainer, like physical athletic trainer or even mom couldn't help with. And that's the importance of you. And I think all parents of athletes should have somebody talk to you or somebody like you, because like in your daily videos that you do, or I don't know how often you do them, but I get a little notification, and they actually apply to life. I mean, you can apply it I can apply it to losing weight. And that's what I love about all your messages. So I just wanted to thank you in front of everybody for all that you give. And there's a lot of value in your videos. And I think I want more people to know about you and to follow you and contact you. I appreciate that. And, there's so many life lessons to be learned through sports. perseverance, discipline, just how to use your mind. I can't tell you how many times as an athlete, only even from the Division I level, right? Or even just the collegiate level, there's going to be lessons that you can compare. And we learn so much in life through comparison and contrast, right? There's so many instances where you say, oh, that's like this in baseball, or oh, that's like this in basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And Emily's an only child, so she has no, she had no role models or to know how to be a team. And so, I signed her up for sports right away. So, and I think she doesn't have only child syndrome. I've had a lot of teachers tell me that, she doesn't, we thought she had a brother or something. I'm like, no, she just has invisible friends. No. So what kind of advice would you like to give, first of all, to parents? If you like just a little tidbit that will help them help their child, prosper in their sport.
One of the biggest things is that, a teenager has certain moods and certain ideas and all of the hormones. You can talk about the biological side that are going through them. So you need to communicate with them on their level. So that's for teenagers. That would be my biggest piece of advice. You need to communicate with them where they're at. And I'm not here to teach people how to be a parent.
Right. No, I get it.
I feel parents sometimes get a little defensive, like, oh, hey, you're going to tell me how to parent my kid. But I'm just here to help, here to serve from just the sports psychology side of things, my realm of expertise. And that would be my biggest piece, is just try to meet them where they're at. Communicate the way that they like to communicate with other people. And there's a lot of things that go into that. What are some of the things that they envision, right? What are some of the things that they hear? What tone of voice? I can't emphasize enough the importance of tone of voice. And it's so often overlooked in coaching and parenting and helping, any athlete is the tone of voice. I'll give a short little story. My college coach, we had, and this is, you can say this is devastating, or you can say this is whatever. We had a 17-game losing streak. 17 games. That's like a shot to the heart. Every single game you go out there, you're like, okay, this is the time where we're going to break the streak, right? And we had a 17-game losing streak. All I can hear is my coach giving the same exact speech in the same monologue tone at the end of every single game. And it's just like, that's demoralizing. That's devastating. Like no energy, no passion, no anger, no frustration. Like, show something, and be aware of what tone of voice you're using with your kids, because that's going to make a dramatic impact on how they perceive what you're communicating. I know everyone's heard of, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But oftentimes it's overlooked that tone component is a critical piece in how you say it.
It's huge. It's huge. And if you have a coach without emotion, what motivates you?
I don't know. A coach without emotion is might be the worst thing ever.
Yeah. The worst thing for kids. So. And
you're a former athlete, so let me ask you this: Do you believe? I truly believe this. You're either getting better or you're getting worse.
I do believe that. So even when I was good, I kept thinking I was worse, and it just pushed me. And I remember shooting baskets in my driveway in the snow, because I'm like, I got to get 24 more in. I got to do 50 more free throws. I need to do some rebounds. I'm like, I set expectations that were so high that nobody would ever put on me. But that was the way I rolled, and it worked. So I loved it. I miss playing basketball. I was so excited when I turned 50, because they didn't have a women's basketball rec league, but they had a senior basketball rec league, and women could play. So when I turned 50, I was like, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But anyway. Okay, so what about for the kiddos? Your piece of advice for them.
Learn how to breathe.
Oh.
And I know that sounds so simple, but 99.99% of athletes don't understand how and when to breathe. And I'm not just talking about breathing to staying alive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about breathing. The breath, if you can imagine a doorway, the breath is the doorway between your mind and your body. So as an athlete, every athlete would agree it's important to have complete control over your body during a competition. And every athlete would agree it's important to have complete control over your mind. But what happens on an unconscious level is that we get a little nervous, we get a little anxious, we get a little excited, we get a little stressed, we get a little worried, we get a little scared, right? Whatever emotion comes up, it's different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe our palms start to sweat a little bit. Maybe our feet start to sweat a little bit. Maybe we blush a little bit in our face. Maybe we tense up in our jaw without even noticing it. We tense up in our shoulders. We tense up in our body on an unconscious level, right? Because these emotions are taking over us. These emotions are controlling us in the moment. And then how many times have you played a game as an athlete and you look back and you're like, oh man, if I only did this differently. Oh, if I only did that differently.
Mm-hmm.
It happens after every game, after every practice, right? Breathe. All of a sudden you regain that control.
Mm-hmm.
You regain control of your body. You regain control of what's going on inside your mind. So when I say learn how to breathe, I mean learn how to consciously belly breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those emotions that I mentioned, the anxiousness, the fear, the worry, the doubt, all of those, they're emotions that are either potentially happening in the future, right? Worry, anxiety, fear of something that might or might not happen, right? That's where that
Right.
comes from.
Mm-hmm.
The doubt, the insecurity, and all of these other emotions are often tied to the past as well. The breath helps bring you back to the present.
That's great.
The breath helps keep you in the now. So the very simplest way I can pass on value within a couple of minutes to athletes is learn how to belly breathe. Because when we get anxious, our heart rates tend to speed up.
Mm-hmm.
Our breath becomes shallower and shallower and shallower without us even realizing it.
Right.
So learn how to take deep belly breaths. And a critical component that I mentioned is that learn when to breathe.
Right. Do you have a little, I can't think of the word, like something that you show them how to do the breathing? Like, do you have something you can show us?
Yeah. So there's different patterns that you can use for breathing. There's different sequences. There's different timing, and they're important. But the more important part of it is look at yourself in the mirror. Okay. And I'm looking at the camera right now. So it's similar, right? When you're in a competition, this is how athletes tend to breathe. Right? My shoulders are up, my chest is going really fast, right? What I want to learn how to do is be able to relax this upper part of my body and just learn how to breathe in my stomach and my chest at the same time. So I get oxygen flowing, I get oxygen going to my entire body. And we can go into the science of it and how it affects your nervous system, and that's going to affect your motor control. That's going to affect your coordination. That's going to affect all sorts of things. But for simplicity's sake, just learn how to breathe. And from that aspect of it, exhaling longer than you inhale is going to relax you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two sides of the coin. Some athletes are too relaxed. They're too calm. They're too nonchalant, right? They need more inhales. They need more breath in to get their heart rate going, to get them going, right? So I'll give you a simple pattern that I give to some athletes, right?
Okay.
So it would be six in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in, hold for 2, 8 out, 1, 2, all the way to 8. That's for the athlete that needs to relax, that needs to calm down, that's too anxious, that's too worried, right? You can flip that for the athlete that needs to get himself more amped up, more excited, more in tune, more energy, right? 8 in, 2 hold, 6 out. So you're bringing more air into the system than you're putting out. So that's helping oxygenate your body. That's helping oxygenate your mind. So there's 2 sides of it. So the first part would be aware of, okay, do I need to get more amped up, or do I need to calm myself down? So that tells you, do I need more breath in, or do I need more breath out?
That's great. That's great advice. It helps with anxiety too. It's
100%.
And it helps with diving, because when you're new, you suck air and you run out of air quickly. And that's what they taught us how to do, is we breathe in 4 and out 6, and then stick the tongue up to the roof of your mouth, and that kind of stops you from going. So just a little diving advice for you guys in case.
Yeah.
But no, breathing is so important, and I want to thank you for sharing all that with our viewers and me and my daughter. And so we're at my half-hour point, and I know your time is, I don't want to take too much of your time. I appreciate you being here. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing? Inspiration, just anything you want? The last part of the show is for you.
No, number one, you're infectious. You're always smiling. You're always happy. And I wish there were more coaches like that, because that's infectious to everyone. And as an athlete, understand that smiling has an impact on your other teammates as well. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate, and I'm grateful for, people like you in the world that are, making other people smile and happy. So I'm going to take Bruce's tip and say, okay, if you're interested in learning a little bit about me, samnot.com, very simple, just my name, some information about coaching, some athletes I worked with, go check it out. But Kellen, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it, because it was a gift to me and my listeners and viewers. So thank you everybody for watching. Be sure to share and subscribe to my YouTube channels if you feel inclined. And thank you Blue Sky Video Productions for Bruce Himmelblau for being my most awesome producer, and Cards That Wow for our sponsors, being our sponsors. I hope everybody has a great day, and I will see you next week.